Caitlin Clark is going to miss tonight's game, and she's got a groin injury. I have been banging the drum online and on here for the last 2 weeks saying there's something wrong with her legs. There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push.
Caitlin Clark's groin just waved the white flag like it was calling in a debt collector, tapping out in a way that left no room for negotiation. 1 minute, she's pushing through the grind like the warrior she is, and the next, she's bent, hurting, clearly frustrated, and now suddenly on the sidelines of a game that's spiraling into absolute chaos. But wait, just when you think you've seen the worst of it, here comes Dana. Dana didn't just stir the pot, she picked it up and launched it across the arena like it was her final event in the Kitchen Olympics. The woman went off. Fever fans, already on edge, went from frustrated to fully furious. The quitting drama didn't just bubble up, it detonated, flooding the timeline with wild speculation, emotional rants, and enough finger-pointing to crash a group chat. Suddenly, everyone's trying to piece it together. Why is Dana snapping now? What's happening behind the scenes? And why does it feel like this team is combusting in real time? And through all of this, Caitlin's injury isn't just a footnote. It's the shocking plot twist that flipped the entire script. Because let's face it, no one saw this coming. Not this soon, not like this. One moment, she's the heartbeat of the game. The next, she's sidelined, watching the storm build from the bench. Her absence isn't just a gap on the stat sheet. It's a seismic shift that's exposing cracks everywhere else. How did we get here? How did we go from chasing playoff dreams to full-blown soap opera chaos with no brakes, no seatbelts, and no clear way out? One thing's for sure. This roller coaster isn't slowing down anytime soon. And the next twist? It's probably just around the corner. Let's break it all down.
And that is the news that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
First, it was the hip. Now, it's the groin. At this point, Caitlin Clark's body is sending out more distress signals than a shipwrecked pirate screaming into a coconut, hoping anyone hears the call. And let's be clear, this isn't just a string of bad luck. This isn't, oops, unlucky fall territory anymore. We've long passed that exit. This is full-blown, is she wearing a bullseye on her jersey mode? Because somehow, some way, every single game she steps into turns into a demolition derby and Caitlin Clark always seems to be the only car on the track without an airbag. She's getting bumped, slammed, and sideswiped like it's open season. Like the rulebook suddenly stopped applying to anyone defending her. And yet, the whistles, they stay curiously silent, as if the referees are too busy looking the other way to notice the human highlight reel getting ground down possession after possession. It's starting to feel less like incidental contact and more like a pattern. Dangerous, exhausting, almost reckless pattern that's not just wearing on her body, but threatening to wear down everything she's been building. And if no one steps in soon, it won't just be another injury. It could be a season derailed, a star dimmed, and a league left answering some uncomfortable questions. Because at this rate, the question isn't if she'll take another hit when, and honestly, that's not just a Caitlin Clark problem, that's a WNBA problem.
Caitlin Clark is out again with an injury, which is the worst thing you can hear if you're a fan of the Indiana Fever, and really if you're a fan of the WNBA, because obviously Clark is the engine that makes the Indiana Fever go, and is the single biggest driver of interest in the WNBA, and it's not close. And anytime somebody is out of the lineup, you get concerned, especially when it's Clark, obviously, considering she had already been injured earlier this year and is now out with what is being dubbed a left groin issue.
The Indiana Fever honestly, anyone who cares about the WNBA should be sounding the alarm right now. Caitlin Clark isn't just the engine that makes the Fever run. She's the single biggest force driving interest in the entire league, and it's not even a close race. Anytime a player of her magnitude is out of the lineup, it's cause for concern. But when Caitlin Clark is sidelined, it's a full-blown red alert, especially considering this isn't her first injury this season. Earlier, she battled her way back from one setback, and now she's out again, this time with what's being labeled a left groin issue. Translation: the Indiana Fever have officially entered the danger zone. You know it's getting serious when the team's medical staff has her Starbucks order memorized. This is her second injury, and the season hasn't even made it past what fans jokingly call the popcorn stretch, the part where most teams are still getting warmed up. For a franchise that hitched its entire turnaround plan to a once-in-a-generation talent, it's starting to feel less like a comeback story and more like they've unwillingly signed up for a high-stakes episode of Survivor WNBA edition. If they can't keep her healthy, the question won't just be about wins and losses. It'll be about how long they can keep this entire project afloat.
Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlin Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
But here's where the rabbit hole starts to get real deep and real spicy. It's not just the injuries piling up, it's how they're happening. Because when you really lock in, when you break these games down frame by frame, football film room style, what you start to see isn't just physical play. It's something that feels a lot more like back alley sabotage than professional basketball. Every game like clockwork, Caitlin Clark is getting hammered. Not in the tough defense kind of way, in the is she trying to smuggle government secrets out of Area 51 kind of way. She's getting bodied, clipped, slammed, and hip with a level of aggression that feels almost targeted. Elbows aren't just flying, they're landing. Shoulders aren't just pressing, they're charging. Hips aren't just bumping. They're checking like a TSA agent who's still mad about missing their lunch break. This isn't incidental contact. This isn't, oh well, that's basketball territory. This is a consistent, suspicious pattern. A physicality that somehow goes unchecked by the very people paid to check it. And the more you watch, the more it starts to feel less like competition and more like a coordinated effort to grind her down. One bruise at a time. And the question is, why isn't anyone stopping it?
The Indiana Fever just lost a really tough game against the Los Angeles Sparks, and it comes back to the four things the Indiana Fever always have trouble with: missed layups, missed free throws, interior defense, and rebounding. That is why the Indiana Fever lost this game, and that's why they cannot be a championship team, in my opinion. You have to be able to get stops. You have to be able to rebound the basketball when you do force stops. But there was some positives in this game as well that we have to get into. Kelsey Mitchell was spectacular. I love to see her furthermore breaking her shooting slump. She had 20 points today on 44% shooting from the three-point line, so you like to see her have three back-to-back games in a row where she's having over 20 points. She's totally in her groove.
And the refs look like they're watching an entirely different sport either. That or they've taken a vow of silence like monks tucked away on some Himalayan retreat. Because the amount of fouls not called, the hits completely ignored, and the downright, let me see if I can rearrange your spine real quick, move somehow getting chalked up as good defense is mind-boggling. This isn't let them play, this is let them assault. You'd think, just maybe, the league might start paying attention when their biggest star the face of their growth, their ratings, their future is hobbling off the court for the second time in a month. But nope, we're still out here pretending. This is normal. We're still framing it as growing pains. Except, the only thing that's really growing is the list of people who seem eerily dedicated to knocking Caitlin Clark out of every game, one body part at a time. It's like she accidentally parked in the wrong spot in front of the entire league, and now everyone's lining up to make her pay for it. She didn't just take the spotlight, she stole it, and now the rest of the league wants it back with compound interest. If jealousy had a playbook, this would be page 1. Target the rookie, rough her up, push her to the edge, hope she taps out, and the scary part, it's kind of working.